Get lost, loser. This is what Emily, the president's daughter, said to me. The grape juice she threw at me made my head feel cold. Why does she hate me so much? With a sense of injustice, I tried to think. Right now, we're at a friend's party. Since this is a party celebrating 100 years of the company's founding, I don't want to cause any trouble for my friend. I see. But I wasn't going to let it in like this, so before leaving the venue, I decided to get back at her. Later, after consulting with my friend, I decided to take revenge on Emily. Knowing her past brought up some thoughts, but I have things I must protect. Because of this, Emily will face some tough times ahead. My name is Brian Appleton. I just turned 44, a middle-aged man. I'm superstitious and believe in omens, so being often sick recently makes me feel like something bad might happen. I run a food company. I think of myself as just an ordinary person, but thanks to the people around me, I've risen to a decent position. I'm good at thinking things through, but I'm not great at paperwork, so why don't you become the president and start the company? In return, I'll develop great products. I have a lot of followers on social media, but I get too nervous to show my face. I can't attract new followers anymore. How about we team up? I'll do the promotion for you. In short, I was lucky. Having people around me who needed each other allowed me to become a leader. Since elementary school, I was often tasked with taking care of the younger kids in the neighborhood, so it was almost inevitable. Brian, could you take care of my kid? Sorry, Brian, my daughter likes you, could you help her with her studies? Every time, I would say, I'm a bit busy, or I have my own things to do, but I must have seemed weak-willed. Before I knew it, I was often looking after others. As a result, I now work hard as a president. However, being relied upon every day isn't so bad, and I find a lot of fulfillment in my daily work as a president. As the first signs of spring blew in, it was lunchtime, so I went for a walk. It wasn't in the city, but within the company grounds. I created a small garden thinking it would be a good break from work, and it seems to be well received. Looking around, I saw a few employees chatting happily as they walked. The new project is likely to get approved. It's thanks to Brian's quick thinking. I heard Brian was at the last event. Even though he had another engagement far away the day before, he made it. It seemed they were talking about me, but I didn't join the conversation. On their break, they should enjoy their freedom without worrying about hierarchy. So, unless they say something outrageous, I plan to pretend not to hear any complaints about me. As I watched the employees enjoying their break in various ways, I sat on a bench at the corner of the garden. While I was lost in thought, forgetting about the morning's work, a young female employee spoke to me. Thank you very much for your help the other day, Mr. Appleton. The person appreciated me was a woman in her 20s. Olivia joined this company for the simple reason that her name sounds like the food olive. I remember this because I happened to observe her interview where she mentioned it. No need to mention it. I was just there at the time. When I said this, Olivia took out a handkerchief from her pocket. Olivia and I used the same train station. So, when I saw her fall at the station the other day, I gave her my handkerchief. Thank you so much for that time. It would have been tough to go home with my knee injured. I'm glad my handkerchief helped. She must have carefully ironed it after washing it. After receiving the wrinkle-free handkerchief, she said, "This is also a thank you," and handed me a handkerchief from a famous brand and a small package. This package contains muffins with fruit in them, so please eat them soon. I hope you like them. Of course, I will. Given that my name includes apple, I like all kinds of fruit. As I accepted the gift with a smile, Olivia sighed with relief. She seemed happy for a moment, but then, as if remembering something, she looked serious and spoke. Can I talk to you for a bit? It's about the company we're trying to do business with. I've heard some bad things. Olivia hesitated slightly, looking at me with worried eyes, before continuing. The head of sales at the company we're considering doing business with is apparently a wealthy president's daughter. But I've heard bad rumors about her. It's so bad that even someone like me in the development department has heard about it. After saying this, she slowly met my eyes, as if trying to gauge my reaction. I smiled to reassure her. She was concerned for me, so there was no reason to get upset. So, I sincerely thanked her. Really? That's helpful to know. Thank you for telling me. When I thanked her, Olivia seemed relieved and left. The person she mentioned is probably Emily. I recalled her with light brown hair, like well-toasted bread. She had a curly hairstyle that looked like a croissant. She was a classmate from high school, and now she works as the president's daughter at a food processing company her parents run. She became a department head through connections, but she isn't doing well at her job. For some reason, she has always seen me as an enemy and used to pick fights with me every day in high school, leaving me with no good memories. One particularly memorable thing she said was, "Just because I bought 2 juices, why should I give you 1? When I said I treat you, I meant the air around here." She asked what juice I wanted and bought it right in front of me, so anyone would have misunderstood in that situation. There's no way someone as mean as her could function properly in society. Emily is now regularly discussing business with our employees, but I hope it doesn't become a hassle. A few days later, just before lunchtime, working in the office, I was facing a headache-inducing situation. I had a feeling, and sure enough, she's been doing whatever she wants. Remembering what Olivia told me, I decided to be cautious during meetings between Emily and our employees. So, when I heard from reception that Emily had arrived, I stood outside the meeting room door, listening in. Holding my head, I strained to hear the sharp, angry voice from inside the room. "I come here as the president's daughter, and this is the best you can do for hospitality? However, we did our best to find the finest sweets for you. The coffee is awful too. Are you just serving any random stuff commoners drink?" The conversation had been like this the whole time. The discussion wasn't progressing, with Emily just expressing her dissatisfaction. But then the conversation took an unexpected turn. "Fine. Then can you call Brian? He works here, right? I saw him at one of your company events not long ago. Surely you can summon a lowly employee quickly?" "Well, he's not just any employee." "What?" "He's just someone who sucks up to competent people. He can't have any significant responsibilities. Hurry up and call him." It seems Emily doesn't know my position. If she had paid attention to the male employee's words, she would have realized I hold a significant position. But she was too focused on her demands. I have a grudge against him. I'll make him work hard for me. I can't stand him looking happy just because he's surrounded by capable people when he's just an empty shell. He must still be useless now. Hearing Emily's words made me shudder. Is that why she bullied me in high school? I never thought she still held a grudge. Emily continued making unreasonable demands and expressing her disdain for me. With her behavior, the negotiations were going nowhere. After wasting an hour, Emily finally left. If we don't deal with her soon, our employees will just be forced to cater to her whims. So, I decided to reach out to an acquaintance for some advice. A few nights later, I went to the pub where I was meeting a friend to discuss the situation about Emily. Entering the lively pub, I saw my friend already there, waving and calling my name. "Hey, over here. Long time no see, Brian." His face was already red from drinking. His name is Alex, and he had a friendly smile. We met in middle school at a swimming school. We never attended the same school, but we saw each other often at lessons. He's about my age, just a few days younger. Sorry to jump right into it, but can I ask for your advice? It's about this president's daughter. I greeted Alex, ordered some appetizers, and began explaining the situation. After listening to my story, he took a bite of the chicken that a waiter had brought and then began to speak. "Sounds like you're having a tough time." "Well, Emily looks decent, but her personality is problematic, so it's no surprise." "You know her?" "Yeah. I haven't mentioned it before, but she was a classmate in middle school." Alex seemed to remember Emily vividly. She was always flaunting her wealth. When she went swimming, her hair looked like a croissant, and she looked like a goddess, but when she talked, she was scary as hell. Despite his complaints, he seemed to occasionally praise her. Maybe he had a crush on her back then. Should I avoid bringing that up? While I pondered, Alex continued. She was a troublesome girl even back in middle school. When we treated her to juice, she stomped on it. I wondered why she'd do that. But knowing her past, it makes sense. Alex looked serious as he reached for a glass of water instead of alcohol. After wetting his lips, he spoke again. Emily's dad was the president of a cheap beverage company. He aimed to provide affordable drinks for everyone. But the company went under because it wasn't profitable. Their family fell apart and they divorced. Emily was taken in by her mother. This happened when Emily was in middle school. Alex didn't know much about her earlier years, but it seemed she was relatively normal before the divorce. I had no idea Emily had such a past. However, given her extravagant spending habits in my memory, I found it hard to believe her father's company went bankrupt. Seeing my confusion, Alex added, her mother was quite capable. After that, her mother started a company selling mineral water. She used aggressive business strategies and quickly became wealthy. Then, she handed the company over to someone else and now runs a food company. Given all that, it's understandable Emily would be complicated. Indeed, it's not as simple, good for her situation. Her mother succeeded using methods completely opposite to her father's vision of affordable drinks. And she abandoned the company once it succeeded. I don't know how Emily felt about her father, but it seems enough to explain her troubled personality. Still, thinking about my company and employees, I can't afford to be lenient with her, which brings us back to square one. I came for advice hoping for a solution. As I pondered over a drink, Alex put his hand on my shoulder. My company is having a 100th anniversary party soon. I'll invite Emily and talk to her. Sometimes, it's better for a third party to intervene rather than enemies talking directly. I appreciate it, but are you sure? It's a lot to ask. I can't quite explain it, but I can't just leave her be. It's not just for you, so don't worry. Thanks, Alex. Despite appearances, Alex is the president of a company. He's part of a renowned company with a long history of 100 years. Given his position, he could use us to benefit his company, yet he's just a genuinely good guy. So, I've been invited to the party. However, to avoid complications, I hope to avoid seeing Emily before Alex talks to her. A few weeks later, I was visiting the top floor of a certain hotel. I was attending the anniversary party hosted by Alex's company. I arrived relatively early. Since Emily usually arrives late to these kinds of parties, I figured it would be safe to wander around the venue for a while. Several tables were set up throughout the room. It was a buffet-style event, with guests helping themselves to the food. Gentlemen and ladies with plates in hand were chatting and enjoying their meals. As I observed the faces around me, I turned to the woman standing next to me and asked, "It's been a while since I've attended a party like this. How about you? Have you been to many parties?" The person I spoke to was Olivia. She wasn't wearing her usual business suit but a formal dress. "No, I haven't." "Are you sure it's okay for someone like me to be here?" Olivia replied in a small voice, glancing around nervously. She was wide-eyed, looking at the other people's dresses and the food available. "It's your grandfather's hotel, so of course, it's fine for you to be here. Actually, this hotel belongs to her grandfather. I only found out a few days ago." While I was taking a break in the garden, she approached me, and we talked about attending the party. That's when I learned that this venue was run by her grandfather. As a result, she ended up attending with me. My grandfather lives in a different house, and we don't interact much. That's why this is so sudden for me. I had wondered why she gave me such an expensive brand of handkerchief when she returned mine, but it made sense if her grandfather was wealthy. However, she didn't give off the usual vibe of someone from a wealthy background, which was puzzling. As I pondered this, she seemed to read my thoughts. I don't like using my family's connections or receiving excessive help. It doesn't feel like I'm achieving anything on my own. I thought it was admirable that she didn't rely on her privileged environment and wanted to make her own way. The reason Olivia was with me was to give me a tour of the hotel. Her grandfather, who had a back injury, had asked her to promote the hotel, so she joined me. Had he not been injured, her grandfather would have met me himself, but unfortunately, he couldn't recover in time. "My grandfather has wanted to introduce this hotel to you for a while, Mr. Appleton. He said he wanted to appeal to companies with promising futures. I'm pleased that such a wonderful hotel's owner thinks so highly of me. I glanced around at the decor of the venue. It was evident that a lot of money had been spent, but there was no gaudy decoration. The room was tastefully elegant and harmonious. While chatting with Olivia and accepting a drink from a passing staff member, a woman approached us. It was Emily. I was taken aback. She was already here, earlier than usual, perhaps on a whim. Dressed in a white gown adorned with large jewels like white grapes, and carrying a chocolate-colored bag over her shoulder. She also wore a red hat shaped like a strawberry, making her look like a fruit parfait. "Oh, I thought I recognized you, Brian. It's been since high school, hasn't it?" "Yes, it has. Long time no see." Although I had overheard her voice through a door just recently, I couldn't exactly admit that, so I had to play along. In any case, it had been a long time since I had seen her face to face. Despite the years, Emily hadn't changed much. Her smug expression and condescending gaze were still the same. The croissant-like curly hairstyle was gone, though. Working in the food industry, I found that a bit disappointing. I used to think it looked delicious, like bread. As I muttered under my breath while looking at her head, it seemed she heard me. What is it with people commenting on my hairstyle? Even Alex said something about it the other day. He asked if a dog had eaten my croissant. What do you all think my hair is? Sorry. If she could tell from those words that it was about her hairstyle, she must have been aware it looked like a croissant even back then. I wondered about it but didn't have the courage to ask. Regaining her composure, Emily poked me in the chest mockingly. I can't believe someone who can only rely on others is here. Whose errand boy are you? Go back to your master. You still look as poor as ever. She clearly had no idea that I run a company. Emily sneered as she looked at my face. Olivia, standing next to me, muttered, "He's pretty good looking," in a disgruntled tone, which made me feel a bit embarrassed. What kind of work are you doing now, Emily? I decided to change the subject. Unlike you, I'm living a comfortable life every day. Unaware of my intentions, she started bragging. However, she didn't provide much detail. She claimed to be the head of the sales department, but she didn't provide any specific details. All Emily talked about were complaints about her subordinates being incompetent and the annoying remarks from older people. So, what happened to the geniuses around you? Oh, they must have ditched you. You aren't appealing beyond your friends. Getting increasingly irritated, I said, "Can I go now?" I have things to do, and tried to leave. But Emily followed me. Why don't you just leave? There's nothing you can do here, you useless person. Her verbal abuse was pushing me to my limit. Olivia, looking upset, finally retorted. President Appleton is not useless. He helped me when I was in trouble and cares about his subordinates. Even when you were causing trouble for our sales department, he was concerned. Hearing this, Emily snorted and responded to Olivia. I've seen you wandering around. Who are you? Don't speak out of turn. And this guy, a president? No way. You're being fooled. Olivia looked stern, but when I said, "Calm down," she seemed to relax. However, Emily did not. Don't try to calm down. Stop being an eyesore. You're unpleasant. She grabbed a glass from a nearby table and poured its contents over my head. Get lost, loser. I felt the cold sensation and recognized the smell of grape juice. I sensed the stares from those around us. If this continued, it would ruin the party's atmosphere and cause trouble for Alex. So, I decided to leave. All right then. But I wasn't going to leave without a little retaliation. Since you look like a fruit parfait, I might accidentally eat you if I stay near you. I said this loudly enough for others to hear, and the guests around us stifled their laughter. Before Emily, now red-faced, could respond, I quickly left. After leaving the party, I washed my head in the hotel's bath. Thankfully, the bath was available to non-guests as well. I gave Olivia some money to buy me a change of clothes, but she returned with a stylish outfit that looked like something a model would wear. I didn't care what I wore as long as I could change, but I wondered about her choice. What is this outfit? Is something wrong? I thought I picked clothes that would suit you, Mr. Appleton. I'm not a model or anything, but well, okay. She had chosen inexpensive clothes, and although the style made me feel self-conscious, I appreciated the financial consideration. When I changed into the clothes, they were comfortable and surprisingly fitting. It seemed Olivia had a good sense of fashion. As much as I wanted to leave the hotel and return to the office, there were still things that needed to be done. So, I decided to settle down in the hotel's cafe and talk with Olivia. I needed to hear her explain the hotel's details. The bath was really nice. It might be good not just for events but also for company retreats. Really? I'll let my grandfather know. He'll be thrilled. Feeling hungry, I ordered lunch while we discussed the hotel. We talked about the hotel's history, its unique features, the main services offered, and the costs of renting rooms for events. It seemed like a really nice hotel, and I wanted to consider using it actively. While we were talking, Alex arrived. After greeting Olivia, he sat down at our table. I heard from others about what happened. You had a rough time. It seemed he was aware of what had happened to me, but couldn't come to find me immediately because he was busy as the party's host. He apologized with a regretful expression. I got caught up with the guests. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. I had a good time in the bath. Given his circumstances, I couldn't hold any negative feelings toward him. When I said that, he looked relieved. But when I saw you having a meal in the cafe, I thought you had nerves of steel. Well, I had other things to attend to. Alex looked at Olivia and nodded in understanding. Oh, other things, huh? Like a date with your girlfriend? Why would you think that? It's not like that at all. I looked nervously between Alex, who was giving me a skeptical look, and Olivia, who had turned red and was looking down. Given the significant age gap, it was unlikely Olivia saw me as a romantic interest. Such a comment would surely embarrass her. She was probably blushing from embarrassment. For Olivia's sake, I decided I would clarify things with Alex later. However, there was something else on my mind right now. So, did you talk to Emily? Yeah, I heard most of it from her. She really doesn't like you, does she? I don't get it. I never did anything to her. Alex pondered for a moment before muttering, maybe it's self-hatred. I didn't understand what he meant, so I asked. What do you mean? I don't think we have anything in common. She's probably frustrated because things aren't going well at work, and feels she has nothing to offer besides money. She looked bored at the party. Seeing you, who seems content just with friends, must irritate her. That makes sense. So that's why she hates me. From her perspective, I must look like a man who has nothing but friends. She probably resented me for seeming happy and fulfilled despite lacking personal power. I finally understood her feelings. However, that didn't mean I would quietly endure her insults. I'm not a nobody. I've worked hard to get to where I am now. I know you have. I understand how hard you've worked. But the point is, she doesn't see it. Feeling a bit annoyed, I said this, and Alex put a comforting hand on my shoulder. Olivia also said, I understand how hard you've worked, Mr. Appleton, which helped calm me down. I need to deal with her for the sake of my company and my employees. Then I'll help you. I agree she needs a wake-up call. He then shared with me a way to get back at Emily. Olivia also offered her support, which was reassuring. Alex returned to the party and initiated the first act of revenge, the croissant attack. Emily was delighted to receive a large number of croissants, not understanding the gesture, and happily ate them. The hit product from the renowned bakery turned out to be surprisingly delicious. However, it was a chocolate croissant, and its crumbly pastry ended up staining her pristine white dress. I heard later that Alex joked, your dress looks like a chocolate chip parfait, making the guests laugh and angering Emily. A few days after the anniversary party, there was a significant change in my company. We had gained more clients. As a result, our sales team was busier than ever, but I was glad we didn't have to deal with Emily's company. It seemed Alex had introduced my company to the party attendees, leading to this outcome. Olivia also spoke to her grandfather, who agreed to display our company's posters in the hotel. Thanks to that, our company's recognition skyrocketed. Lately, I've been swamped with phone calls. While part of it was due to the sales team being overwhelmed, many high-ranking individuals contacted me directly. So I had to handle those calls myself. By the end of the workday, I was always exhausted. Apparently, word of this reached Emily. Despite having no business with us, she showed up at my company. "Mr. Appleton, there's a woman at reception demanding to see you and causing a scene." "Got it, please bring her to the meeting room." Sorry for the trouble. After instructing the receptionist, I headed to the meeting room. There, I found Emily, her face pale. Her boastful demeanor from the party was gone. As soon as she saw me, she rushed over. "So you really are the president? And of our client company? I heard about it from other company people after the party. Why didn't you say anything then?" "Olivia, the woman with me, mentioned it." "You didn't believe her." "Well, that's true, but I had been clear about the facts, so I didn't appreciate her acting like I was at fault. However, I felt guilty about eavesdropping on the conversation she had with our sales representative, so I couldn't be too harsh. No matter how unreasonable she had been, that was a separate issue. It was fortunate that I managed to hold back my anger on the day of the party because of that incident. "So, what brings you here?" I got straight to the point. If she was here to apologize, I'd accept it, but that didn't seem to be the case. Emily appeared solely concerned with saving face. "My company is in chaos. Everyone's calling to cancel contracts because they heard what I did to you. Your company's rising fame has made my actions widely known. That's tough, but you brought it on yourself." She was simply reaping what she had sown. I didn't want to believe she was so oblivious to this. As I stared at her, she averted her eyes. After much hesitation, she spoke quietly. "I'm sorry. Please tell them it was a misunderstanding. Tell them we're on good terms." "Why should I? It wasn't a misunderstanding. You harassed us." Hearing my words, she fell silent. Emily trembled for a while, but it seemed she wasn't so lacking in character as to make me out to be the villain here. In a weak voice, she pleaded, "Please, help me. I have no one else to turn to. I'm a useless manager who only has money to offer." Then she asked me properly. While there was likely some calculation behind it, her genuine attitude meant I couldn't justify further retaliation. "I can't secure new business. I'm barely keeping those who want to cancel. I'm getting 100 harassing calls daily, even in my dreams." "Are you truly sorry?" "I'm not lying. Please, believe me." Sighing, I saw that she wasn't faking it and stepped out of the room for a moment. I asked the male employee who was on standby to bring some guest refreshments and waited. A few minutes later, he returned with a tray of croissants, and I re-entered the room. "I probably can't completely fix everything. You'll still have a tough time for a while. If you're okay with that, I'll help you out. I'll try to explain that despite our past, we've managed to build a somewhat good relationship now." "Thank you, Brian." With a bright expression, Emily took a bite of the croissant I offered. Despite it being the same food that had stained her dress, she seemed to really enjoy it. She devoured the croissant with a carefree smile, like a child. For a while after that, Emily had a hard time. I received an email from her complaining, "I barely have time to sleep." But despite everything, she wasn't fired. She still continues to work. People in the company now look at her with disdain for the trouble she caused. She'll face more challenges, but I believe she can handle it now. Alex is also keeping an eye on her, offering help and advice, so she shouldn't go down the wrong path. He still says, "I just can't leave Emily alone for some reason." They even go out together occasionally on weekends, so if Emily starts to feel affectionate towards him, their relationship might progress. Even if Alex is a bit oblivious, it's uncertain what will happen between them for now. Meanwhile, my company is thriving. With a significant increase in clients, our production is steady. At this rate, expanding overseas might not be just a dream. However, there's a lot to do as the company president, and I'm busy. Meeting with various company leaders is incredibly stressful. But I have diligent subordinates and reliable friends. No matter what happens, we can handle it. While taking a break after finishing some work, Olivia, who now works as my assistant, approached me. Mr. Appleton. We have a free day in the schedule this month. How about we go out together? That sounds great. I'd been working non-stop lately. Where should we go? Seeing her smile as she leaned closer made my face turn red. It seemed a 20-year age difference wasn't an obstacle for romance. I'm curious about Alex and Emily's relationship, but I should focus on my own for now.